Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of F1 My Driver Career Mode here on the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we're going racing here in Silverstone here for the British GP, a track that I haven't had very much luck or success at here so far in this My Driver series now, as we've had 2 attempts at this track and none of them have gone very well. We always struggle against the AI, especially towards that third and final sector once we go through Cops and through the S's. So we'll see what we have here today in terms of pace now, as this is the best we felt so far in our My Driver Career Mode coming up to this point. So the confidence was there, and I was hopeful we could translate that into a relatively decent performance here in Britain. So we come through into our first practice session, and so far so good for everything. It was going smooth here in free practice 1. We put up really competitive times on this medium compound tire. We of course would go out and make a qualifying run on the soft tire, and we were able to put up some good times there as well. So everything was looking good coming into qualifying into the GP this weekend here. Now is of course Aston Martin struggling a little bit right now in terms of getting the car upgraded. We're really working hard to try and upgrade the specs. We've only got the spec 3 in the durability, and everything else with aero and chassis and downforce we're all on spec 2. So hopefully we can hit spec 3 for something at least here in this episode or the next couple episodes. Otherwise we're going to start to fall behind Ferrari as well as McLaren, Red Bull and Mercedes, and we can't afford to fall behind at this point in the season because we have done such a good job, Sebastian Vettel and myself, here with the car we have this season. Of course, both of us have won a GP. I won France, Sebastian Vettel won Azerbaijan. So we've had really good pace for the car that we have, and hopefully we can keep up upgrading this car and of course maintain what we've been doing in terms of performance. There you see the qualifying 1 results. We breezed through qualifying 1, and I think that's the best position I've ever been in qualifying so far in the British GP. So things were looking really good. We come through into Q2 here, and obviously we hope to only go and make 1 run and get in, but it's not as easy as that usually here in the second qualifying session. We put up a fairly respectable lap time though. We come through to cross the line and go fastest and beat our teammate Vettel, and sure enough, that 1 lap was enough to get into Q3. So for the first time ever in Britain, we do make it to Q3 there. As you see, Leclerc, Sainz, both the Ferraris end up out of qualifying here in Q2. So we come through now into Q3 here for our first attempt, and it was a little bit sloppy. It wasn't the best lap I've ever put down here in Britain. I had went wide a couple of times and I just didn't hit my apexes here and there, and you can see it would result in us crossing the line in only P7. So we would make 1 final attempt here in Q3 and hope that we could find some ground, and we were actually able to make up a good chunk of time right there through that left and then that right carousel. So we get up by about 1/10, and we absolutely nailed the S's. Probably the best I've gone through the S's all weekend long. Power down, we come through and gain another 10th right there, and then I break really deep as late as I could, I felt like, into that left-hander, and we find nearly another 10th. Yes, we do find nearly 2 tenths there as we cross the line, and we sure enough qualify P5 here for the British GP. Never thought we would be able to qualify that competitively here, but Daniel Ricciardo, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, your top 3, as we're going to head to the grid here and get ready to go green in Silverstone.
Welcome along then to Great Britain and the Great Silverstone circuit for today's Grand Prix. The 3.6 miles of the Silverstone circuit in Great Britain is hallowed ground to the Formula 1 faithful. We have 18 corners that wrap around this former World War II airbase, and some good passing opportunities at the end of the DRS zones. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Bottas, the rookie and Norris, Hamilton, Gasly, Vettel and Yuki Tsunoda, Leclerc, Sainz, George Russell and Ocon, Giovinazzi, Latifi, and Guan Yu Zhou and Callum Islet, Stroll and Mick Schumacher. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
There you saw the grid as we get ready to go lights out here in Britain. A very simple strategy. We're going to go from the soft to the mediums on a one-stop strategy here today in Silverstone. Now, as Daniel Ricciardo gets ready to go lights out and lead the grid to this turn 1 dash, which is a very short one compared to a lot of the tracks on this schedule here. As we're going to go 5 red lights. Ricciardo Verstappen on your front row. It's lights out and we are underway for the British GP. Can Lewis Hamilton return to the top step of the podium here in his home GP? We're about to find out now. Verstappen gets a tremendous start there into turn 1. He gets in front of the Australian of Daniel Ricciardo. Perez right there in P3, just behind them both there, as Verstappen continues to lead the way through turn 3 as well as 4. Now, as you can see myself, we were able to settle in pretty well. I did go a little bit wide out of turn 1, but we were able to at least still keep it tidy now, as the 4-time F1 World Champion is going to scrap it out with the 7-time World Champion of Lewis Hamilton. 11 championships between the two drivers right there, the German and the British driver of Hamilton. Duel it out through the carousel here. Now, as you can see just in front of them, you got Gasly, Norris as well just in front. There is Vettel with a bit of a switchback right there, and they're going to go side by side in the run towards Copse. A very treacherous corner where Hamilton, of course, has had some history with Verstappen in real life, but Hamilton and Vettel continue side by side, showing exactly why there's 11 world championships between these two drivers there. But it's Hamilton who gets the best of our teammate of Sebastian Vettel. What a scrap that was, and it might not be over yet though. Hamilton went wide, and here comes Vettel once again up the left-hand side as they're going to head down this long straightaway towards the right-hander. In the background, you see the Ferraris of Leclerc and Sainz trying to pounce on Tsunoda, but nothing there. Now as Hamilton and Vettel made a little bit of contact, and I believe it's going to be Hamilton falling in now behind Vettel down into the final couple of corners here. What an opening lap between those two drivers. Our teammate of Vettel, what a scrap from him, and he is sure enough in front of Lewis Hamilton after a crazy first lap. An incredible battle right there between those two world champions. As for myself, things were looking pretty good here now as we were running in the 5th position on it now to lap 4, already DRS activated, and it was absolutely crucial that I remained in DRS range of Valtteri Bottas to keep myself in contact, because I felt like if I didn't remain in that DRS range, it was probably game over for me. So we were able to do that, and I pushed so hard in these first couple of laps to make sure that happened. And there you see Bottas and Perez side by side. Right there's some contact actually between Perez and Bottas. It will be Valtteri getting that 3rd and final podium position over Perez now as we come through a little bit later now on at lap 5. There you see Daniel Ricciardo with the DRS trying to make a pass on Max Verstappen through the right-hander. They're side by side, but it would be Verstappen who would come out on top, and this would continue a few laps later to lap 7. Same situation, same moves, same corner. Ricciardo makes contact actually with Verstappen, couldn't quite come out on top, but once again I'm right behind this at this point, and at Perez I caught him sleeping and make a move around the right hand side, and we pass him and move up into the 4th position. We don't have the pace that the Red Bull has, but right now everything's kind of backed up, and that would allow me to make the move that I made there as we come through to lap 9. Once again Ricciardo makes the move, but this time he does sure enough get ahead of Max Verstappen. Daniel Ricciardo once again to the lead of the British GP after starting on pole, but then we come through now to lap 10, and Ricciardo, Verstappen, myself, we all come into the pit lane here, as well as we're going to be joined up by Pierre Gasly. Lewis Hamilton will be as well coming into the pit lane, and pretty straightforward strategy for all of us here. We're going to put on that medium compound tire and go to the end of this race. Some tremendous wheel-to-wheel racing so far here in Silverstone, and it's all been clean. Usually we get some contact and someone damages the wing, but no, everyone's been able to keep it clean. So hopefully it will remain that way throughout the rest of this British GP here now as we would rejoin the track here now. So down in 17th for the time being now, but everything of course has to cycle out, and we'll probably be back towards that top 5 no problems whatsoever now, as Bottas and Perez would be of course coming into the pit lane momentarily here within the next few moments. So we wouldn't be able to quite get out in front of them. We would get out in front of our teammate of Sebastian Vettel. We would be side by side with the British driver of Lando Norris down into the right-hander, and we will get the best of them right there as our tires are heated up compared to his, which are still pretty cold. As you can see now, actually on lap 12, a few moments later, Antonio Giovinazzi would actually have a spin there in the Williams. He would go around in that right-hand carousel. He would get, of course, all sorted out after that and back on his way. But now we come through towards the end of lap 12. Perez side by side with Bottas through the right-hander. Now there's some more contact between those two. That's the second time this has happened, but Perez picks up wing damage. To the pit lane he goes, and Perez is going to be now way behind as he has to repair that front wing. One of the championship contenders that Bottas has made contact with. I would blow the doors off of Valtteri Bottas here moments later on lap 13 because I had DRS. DRS, and he didn't. We move up into P3 after passing the Mercedes of Valtteri Bottas. The first wheel-to-wheel battle where we've seen between Perez and Bottas today. That's the first wheel-to-wheel battle that's resulted in some damage for somebody. Now, as Guan Yu Zhou is out of the session for the Andretti Autosport car virtual safety car, and that would actually turn into a full safety car because Mick Schumacher and the Haas would plow into the back of the Andretti Autosport driver, and he loses his front wing, debris everywhere, and Schumacher would end up retiring moments later, as well, as he felt like there was too much damage to continue. So safety car comes out here on lap 15. All the strategies had already been cycled through, so we were P3 and nothing really changed after this point. So we get a moment to kind of calm down there, as you see myself and Valtteri Bottas here, P3, P4, Ricciardo, Verstappen, P1, P2, Norris, 5th place, Hamilton, 6th. Our teammate Sebastian Vettel kind of stuck down there in P7 currently. Now, as oh my goodness, Vettel might be out of the GP. He's pulling over slow. The German of Sebastian Vettel is out of the British GP. Our 4-time world champion teammate is done here in Silverstone. His first retirement of the season here, completely caught off guard. It happened under safety car, a mechanical failure for our teammate Sebastian Vettel. Now, as we would get back underway, and you can see I got caught kind of napping and when the safety car came in there, but this is an opportunity now for us to close in on Sebastian Vettel in terms of the point situation. We've been lacking a little bit compared to him, of course, when we've had, 4 DNFs at this point already in the season. So if we finish this GP, this will be the most consecutive GPs we finish all season long at 3. So you can see, obviously, that Verstappen and Ricciardo just downright had more pace than I did, but Ricciardo had quite a bit more pace than Verstappen did. So Verstappen couldn't remain in DRS range, and I couldn't remain in DRS range of Verstappen, but Bottas, he was behind us, and I never even noticed at first, but he was on the hard compound tires, so he is not going to have the pace, and Norris was able to get past Valtteri Bottas pretty easily there in the McLaren on lap 21 of 26. Now you can see Norris closing in on me, and I decided to actually let Lando pass me easily because he has the pace to run down the Red Bull of Verstappen. So I'm going to stay within the DRS range and try to allow Lando to pull me to Verstappen to fight for the podium.
Some information on Verstappen. They have some kind of mechanical problem.
There, you heard it right there over the radio from Jeff that Verstappen has a mechanical problem. So now we're definitely going to run down Verstappen even without the help of Lando Norris, and that would happen very quick. Already on lap 23, Norris all over the gearbox of Verstappen here, and we are just a little bit far back to be able to make a move potentially here, but Norris swings to the left-hand side, and he is going to cruise right on past the Red Bull BMW driver. I got right to his gearbox, couldn't quite make the move. He locks up, he goes wide there, but we're not in a position to really send one up the inside of the defending Formula 1 world champion here in this My Driver career mode here, right on here's gearbox here as we end this third and final sector, coming to just 3 laps to go, by the way, in this British GP. Now as we come through in towards turn 1, 2, and now down towards turn 3, I'm going to lunge one up the inside of Verstappen-esque move on Max Verstappen. We make contact, bang wheels, and actually do wing damage to my left front and to Verstappen's right front there. Now as Bottas goes wide, here comes Lewis Hamilton, who's going to pass his teammate of Bottas as we go down this long straightaway. Hamilton and Bottas are going to now try and split Verstappen 3 wide. What a move from both of them, and they continue on with this race as they go side by side through the right hand of Verstappen with the damage and a mechanical issue. He is well off the pace. I'm off the pace after contact with Verstappen. I did get a warning for that contact. That was very over aggressive, but I felt like I had to make that lunge, and unfortunately it was a little bit too aggressive and bold here as you continue side by side between Hamilton and Bottas. What a race these two are having right here now, as Hamilton, the championship leader, of course, wants to hang on to the position over his teammate of Bottas now as they are still side by side. Bottas goes wide, he slips up, here comes Hamilton right to my gearbox with DRS activated here now, as I'm not going to make life too easy on him here now, as I'm going to make sure he's got probably not the greatest line into the apex of this right-hander, but then of course I have to bail out. I have nothing left, and I actually go wide, and here comes Bottas cruising by on the right-hand side, and Verstappen immediately brings it to the pit lane after the contact with us. I decide to stay out and try to nurse this car home because we're coming to just 2 laps remaining in this GP. a definitely over-aggressive move, and I felt like I had to make it happen on Verstappen as quick as I could because I saw Bottas coming, I saw Hamilton coming, I wanted to get the job done, and unfortunately, we paid the price. We've done the wing damage, and we're just hanging on at this point. Final lap underway here in Silverstone. There goes Perez. What a rebound he's had after the contact with Bottas. Now Perez trying to fight for that championship lead with Lewis Hamilton. It's not going to be a win at his home race for Lewis Hamilton here now. As you can see, George Russell closing in on the back of us in his home GP as well. He is going to be able to cruise by because I'm not going to be able to get this car to turn right here. So Russell as well takes 9th place, but we should be able to hold on to that final point here in P10. But as Daniel Ricciardo, the Australian who started on pole, lost the lead early but took it back from Verstappen in the first 10 laps, he will win the British GP alongside his McLaren teammate who will get P2 of Lando Norris. Hamilton will get P3 there, holding off Valtteri Bottas on that hard compound tire. Pierre Gasly with a great race in 5th, Leclerc and Carlos Sainz, the Ferrari duo, P6, P7, Perez in 8th, Russell 9th, and myself crossing the line for the final point here in P10 after what we could have been looking at a podium. So very disappointing to kind of throw a race away like that with maybe an over-aggressive move there on Max Verstappen, as Lewis Hamilton is your driver of the day. Let's head to the podium here in Silverstone.
Plenty of action here at Silverstone. It was a memorable race, and what an impressive victory. And talk to me, what do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
And look at that, they're making their way out onto the podium now. Great race from the McLaren team, and I'm really happy to see them there on the top step of the podium.
There you saw the podium celebrations there, as well as you see the finishing order on your screen. We'll see how this race has affected the championship battle there. As you can see, Hamilton has a 9-point lead over Perez, 18 over Bottas, 27 over Norris, 32-44 over Vettel, and myself, Ricciardo, has closed it a little bit to 53 out, and Verstappen, after that race, is now 72 points out. Might be the end for his chances this season. The defending champion of Formula 1. Last episode, he had a chance to win in Austria, had an engine failure right at the end. He was running P2 here today in Silverstone, had a mechanical issue, and then of course the contact with us. And after the race, we actually find out that our aerodynamics is up to spec 3, so we get a whole bunch of upgrades starting development straight away, and as well we can do some more durability upgrades. So we should be able to upgrade this car quite significantly here over the next few episodes, hopefully, and get us a little bit closer once again to Ferrari. McLaren has made quite a significant leap, actually, as they are now getting closer to Mercedes, and Williams, I can confirm, is going to make quite a leap here. They got some upgrades on the way, might even be better than AlphaTauri BMW, so we'll see where they stack up going into the next episode in Hungary. But we finished 3 GPs in a row, which is the most all season long without a DNF, so I'm happy about that. Unfortunately, we could have gotten a podium and been right up there with Sebastian Vettel in the points, but instead, of course, I made that over-aggressive move, made some contact with Verstappen, and well, we saw what happened afterward there. As you can see, Vettel as well gets his first DNF of the season with a mechanical issue for that Aston Martin car, which we've had so many times this season. That does it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one for the Hungarian GP. Have a great day, everybody.